I'm thrilled to be speaking with Mike Pack and Jocelyn Ramirez, two incredible entrepreneurs. They're creatives who have not only managed to grow their businesses, but do so in a way where they've kept community at the heart of everything that they do. So Jocelyn and Mike are joining us both from LA. Tell us a bit about yourself, Jocelyn, about Todo Verde and the community you've built.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. My name's Jocelyn. I'm the chef and founder of Todo Verde, which I started back in 2015, really trying to amplify the fact that plant-based food could be both cultural, delicious, all the things, and not just something that meant that you had to stray away from culturally to achieve with a plant-based diet. And I've been doing so from the very beginning, from farmers markets to launching a cookbook to catering, everything from Super Bowl to small scale events. Mm-hmm. I launched a line of seasoning last year, and I'm also working on trying to open up a restaurant. So quite a few different branches within the work that I do, but all about trying to really amplify the fact that plant-based food is really great for us and that it could totally be delicious as well.
Mike, tell us a bit about Koreatown Run Club, Love Hour. We spoke a little bit earlier with Dewey, your co-founder. Who have you built these experiences for? And tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. My name is Mike, co-founder of Koreatown Run Club and Love Hour Burgers. Koreatown Run Club, we've been doing it for the past 6 years with my co-founder, Dewey Nguyen. We just started. I remember just like yesterday, we got together, told all our friends that we were starting a run club, and I would say about 20, 25 random people from the neighborhood showed up at where we were meeting up, and we had no idea what we were doing and no formal training of what a run club is supposed to be. And we did our first couple miles, and I just remember the first the runners were like, when's the next one after we finished? And we kind of were like, wow, we really have to keep this going. And
you did something right.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And if you fast forward 6 years later, we're still doing it 5 days a week. And if you told me back then we would run, like 7 marathons and continue to run, I thought you would be joking. And then it kind of segues into what we do also right now in the food space. Dewey and I do Love Our Burgers. It's a smash burger concept, and we've been doing the past 4 years now. And everything we do is for our community of Koreatown and here in Los Angeles. And it just seems like we just love to work with friends, do awesome projects, and tie it back into the neighborhood that we live in.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jocelyn. In this session, we want to learn how you both scaled your businesses and stayed true to the mission that made your events great in the first place. And let's start with mission. How do you weave your mission into your value proposition so folks who come out to Todo Verde's events, try your seasoning, meet you at a farmer's market, or come to Koreatown Run Club, they go on one of your runs. How do you express your value proposition in a way that makes people say, hey, I want to be part of this. I support this.
Yeah, that's really the biggest part of it, right? Is like creating a sense of community first and foremost, aside from the food itself, aside from, providing recipes, like how do people feel when we provide that kind of space to have dialogue, conversations that you don't typically see. And so for us, like the main value proposition is not only to create like what we call quote unquote, like abuelita approved food,
grandma approved.
Yeah, exactly. To have like grandma approved, which means a lot. But then also to say like, hey, we're creating a space for conversation, to kind of critically think about food systems, to think about the type of food that we have been eating that we consider to be traditional food, but how tradition has in fact evolved like post-colonization in communities of color that have been colonized. And so like really trying to think about like, how do we keep pushing that forward as a business, but also like very, very community centered.
Jocelyn, you said it perfectly. Honestly, it's I think we're in this space, just like Jocelyn is providing that space for people where they feel comfortable and they can make it their own. Similar to Run Club, the hardest thing about Run Club is showing up and actually starting the run, right? Coming to not only for yourself, but like trying to figure out if you can actually do it, right? And the hardest thing, if you don't show up, you also have other people that hold you accountable to show up. And I think it's providing that space for people to say, hey, it's okay. You're not the only ones that will be struggling in this run, but you have other people that will hold you up. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think what really resonated and a through line between both of your missions is this idea of creating a safe space for community. Jocelyn, I thought was really important about what you said around how do people feel, right? How do people feel when they walk into one of your experiences? I'm curious how you both approach community. Can you share a story of someone who was positively affected by the experiences that you foster and what you learned from that experience that made your work even better?
Yeah, I mean, I can hop in there, like just starting off with, one of the things that I heard predominantly come up over and over again when we would do events and catering is, if I could eat this way every day, I would go vegan. I would be plant-based. And so, I started just putting it out there into the universe. Like, I want to have a cookbook one day, and was able to manifest that, was able to get approached by a publishing house and get a book out there. And then to see people posting pictures, videos, sending me things, that they were not only cooking the food themselves, but they were cooking with their grandmother. They were cooking with their mom. They were cooking with other family members. Their kids were enjoying it. All those like small examples are ones that show me like how impactful you could be without really understanding like how that's going to trickle into so many other people's lives. So yeah, for me, that is one shift that I see. Like when people are like, I've decided to go like 50-50, like plant-based, because of your recipes, like that for me is so impactful. And that's why I do the work.
I think early on, wow, that's amazing to hear, truly. I think early on for us, with the Koreatown Run Club, we would hear these stories from individuals of what the Run Club meant to them. It was anywhere from, hey, I'm battling alcoholism, or, I had a death in the family. And we quickly realized it was bigger than us. And how can we create a community where we're always there for them and looking out, but also have outlets of help or any kind of way where we can stay in touch with all the runners. Every time we start and end the run, we always have a different chant that we do. Chant usually starts with, when we start the run, we'll go 1, 2, 3, KRC, and then 3, 4, 5. 4, 5, 6, family. And so the word family for us, we throw that word a lot out, especially to everyone that is a newcomer, and they hear this and they're like, man, they really say the word family a lot, but everything we've been through together as a collective, where is these stories you hear or something happens in the family, we're always there for each other, and we actually see each other more than we see our family members because we're 5 days a week with each other. So really, that family for us, the word means so much greater than what it is, and we're just trying to cultivate that within our group and be there for everybody.
Mike, what's so interesting about what you're describing is it's not only creating the sense of a family and kind of building off what Jocelyn was saying around like how do people feel, but I love that you're intentionally weaving in a culture, you're weaving in kind of a language and like customs, right? With the chant, when you open it up, when you close it up, I think that rituals and customs and culture are so important to any community you're building, right?
Yeah, and kind of really thinking about like what you're saying about family, for me, a main takeaway there is like consistency, right? Like, would it be the same if it was a once a year event, even once a month? But to say, I'm going to do this 5 days a week and we want to figure out ways to stay interconnected and keep in touch, like it's all about that consistency that creates that long-term like family impact. So yeah, big ups to you for keeping up with that consistency.
Oh, I really appreciate it, but you actually nailed it on the head, right? Consistency is the number one word that comes up of like how to really hone in everything that you do, especially Jocelyn, everything you've been doing, all of the incredible work. And it's how do you be consistent? How do you wake up every morning and say, man, I got to do this. I got to go pick up food. I got to open up the shop. I have to do all these things where there's probably like 50 people that are calling your phone every day and needs things from you, right? And I think it all ties back to really like how passionate are you in what you do, and if you really are able to do this. And consistency is definitely that word that comes up often in daily life.
Yeah, absolutely. I once had somebody approach me and they're like, I love what you're doing. I have this 9 to 5 I don't like, and I want to go more in the route of what you're doing because I don't want to work that many hours. And I was like, what? It's a lot of work. And like the consistency remains because I'm so passionate about it, right? Mm-hmm. I work way more than a 9 to 5. I'm pretty sure you work way more than a 9 to 5, right? You wake up and you start thinking about the things you got to do throughout the day. It's a lot sometimes, but because I care about it so much, it makes it all worth it. So yeah, it definitely has to be something that you're like absolutely really, really passionate about.
We talked about, at the top, we talked about mission and the things that makes you passionate to bring your communities together. We talked about the ways that folks from your community have reached out and reflected back to you what your work has meant to them. We have thousands of event creators in our virtual room today, and I know they're really keen on learning about your growth. Growth looks different for different businesses. I'm curious if both of you have tips or advice you wish someone would have told you when it comes specifically to expansion.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I could start off there too. Like, I think a couple things come to mind. Like the first is resiliency. Like as you decide to expand, you're going to need access to capital. You have grant opportunities like the ones that Eventbrite creates, right? And there'll be a lot of times where you'll get declined or you get the no, or somebody closes the door in your face. And it's like, wow, like I'm trying to get in to this, into this like next level. And you got to find the open window and crawl through sometimes. So it's like a lot of resiliency, being able to, handle all those no's and opportunities that don't come to fruition in the way that you hope. And the other thing is like being able to bring in a solid team of people, because as you grow, you can't do it alone. And you have to do it with, people who really truly believe in the work that you're doing and are going to try to figure out ways to amplify that. And so like it's really on you to create systems and like to be a great leader and to try to figure out how you can help support essentially somebody who's helping you grow your baby. So there's like a mutual sense of like everyone is gaining something really great out of this.
You know what? I'm not going to lie, Jocelyn. I struggle to this day about asking for help. It's just because it's such your baby and you're building it from the ground up. You really want to be able to have the say of everything, right? And I think the more you open up to asking for help and having input in different places, it not only you have a sense of clear mind, but you also things start working out surprisingly. It's almost counterproductive where if you don't ask for help. I remember a friend early on told me when we were starting the Love Our Burgers, he said, strike while the iron's hot. And I never really understood that. We grew very quickly early on in the first couple of years, and we're very fortunate for that. But we also realized we didn't want to grow too fast. We wanted to take our time and ask for input from other places or business owners and say, what's the correct way to do this? And there's no real answer, but we wanted to take our time and grow at the same pace that we were learning. So, if I could give any kind of advice to everyone right now, it would be take your time and do as much research and be the expert in that field. And you'll just know when you'll know when it's right to grow or expand, and but learn as much as possible along the process, for sure.
Yeah, Mike, I'm curious. You mentioned something that resonated with me, which is this idea of asking for help. So there's the help that Jocelyn's talking about when you're like expanding your team and you're thinking about, how you trust other people to carry on your vision. So there's that. But there's also kind of like the help and support you call on behind the scenes. Who should you have in your corner as an advisor as you're thinking about growth and expansion?
Yeah. So for people in my life right now, just to give you guys a clear story of it, is Jimmy Han is someone who is a pretty important person within the community of Koreatown, who has businesses and restaurants within the neighborhood. And he gave us a start and is a partner in Love Our Burgers. And he takes the role of, a big brother role, a father figure, and mentor, and really lets us know the thick of what it really is to be a business owner and entrepreneur, right? There are very negative and hard times that you go through, but it's how do you overcome, and who do you have in your corner to really get you out of that? And because they've been through that journey as well. And it's really having that mentor next to you of saying the do's and don'ts, but they probably already have done it. And if you can grab one of those people, they're probably the best help.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I've leaned on so many people from the very get-go, like just trying to learn more about the restaurant industry, especially because I didn't have that formal culinary training. I hadn't worked in restaurants before, so I had to learn it from other folks. And right now I'm doing a round of fundraising to try to open up a restaurant. And so I've also been leaning on advisors to get advice on my deck, pitching, connecting to folks who might be interested in being a part of this. So yeah, in all of those conversations, you're connecting to folks who have been there, done that, who are so down to give you advice and like want to see you succeed because they believe in what you're doing. So it's a lot of asking for help, a lot of like taking notes, trying to figure out how to adjust, but then also realizing you're your own person with your own dreams and ideas. This is your baby. So like you take everything with a grain of salt too, right? Of like, I want to do all those things, but also like, I'm going to do these 3 things only.
You both talked about mentors and how that's been such an impactful part of your journeys. For our last question, since we're focused on growing community expansion, can you talk a little bit about how you leaned on or built up leaders in your respective communities to kind of like help shape programming or grow and expand by calling on your most passionate and ardent supporters?
For Koreatown Run Club, we definitely have this thing where we have captains each.
Captains. So their official titles and roles. Official
title, correct? Yeah, we have captains for our run club, and there's that lead the runs, and we switch them out every year. And it's them just really wanting to help and take their own time to do it, right? And it's really amazing how the community we form within Run Club of the supporters that are willing to do something like that, right? And when you are a captain, you have so much responsibilities of really people looking up to you and really trying to tell your story. And a lot of the times they're able to like, you're about to express your personalities and have that and be that person that you always wanted to be as a leader. And we always love to cultivate that and that community, and always have that option for people to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us within our team, I've definitely been able to hire a really amazing core team of managers, people who are really committed, and then they go on to train and hire other people who join the team. And it's, taking the time to lean in more into like who they are as individuals, like what are their stories, how are you impacting them in, the day-to-day interactions of work. What do they need, for them to feel like happy and fulfilled? So yeah, it's definitely like spending the time to do those things, which is like sometimes tough amongst all the other things that we're doing. But building up leaders, especially for me, like my team is predominantly all women of color. So knowing like they're using Todo Verde as like a stepping stone to whatever, is coming down, their career path, I have to like help build up for that for them, so it's definitely something that is like just as important as the work that people see kind of outward facing.
Well, thank you so much, Mike and Jocelyn. I've so enjoyed our time together. I think to close out on this note is, not only should you be seeking out mentors to help guide you, but you are mentors as, our event creators in the audience. They are mentors, they are leaders. You both are mentors and leaders, and you are building leaders not only with your community, but internally with your staff and your teams. So it's really, I think, like goes back to square one, each of your missions, it's carrying that out through the way you invest in people. So thank you for your time, and make sure everyone tuning in to check out Jocelyn and Mike, Todo Verde, Koreatown Run Club, and Love Hour. We're dropping their social media handles in the chat now. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.